Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in this evening's video we're going to have a look at the latest on Storm Babet, as we have seen the various weather warnings updated today. We've seen the red danger to life warning increase in size, and we have seen more amber warnings issued for England, as we are going to also see an area of extremely heavy rain through tomorrow that you can see at the moment is across parts of France and the Channel. That is heading northward and is going to stall through tomorrow afternoon across northern England. We do have a widespread amber warning covering quite a bit across the spine of England. So we'll have a look at the latest on the live radar, showing you where the prone spots for rainfall are at the moment. We'll run through the latest weather warnings, seeing what warnings are issued through the rest of this evening, and the warnings issued through tomorrow and Saturday. And then we'll have a look at the latest UKV, as that's one of the main runs the warnings are based off, to see again where the heaviest rainfall could be. And then we'll have a look at a bit of the longer range, as of course this will clear in the next few days. And we've got to see what's in store for the rest of October. Now, unfortunately, I've already had a look at the models, and yes, it's not looking particularly great. Probably more heavy rain incoming, probably nowhere near as severe as we're seeing at the moment, but more very unsettled westerly winds looking likely to end October. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, we did get a video out earlier this morning that I did record late last night on the various warnings. Now, none of those warnings have changed drastically. They've been increased in a few areas and updated in others. But you can see now Storm Babet has firmly arrived, and as we have alluded to in the last few videos, Storm Babet isn't this organised named storm like we have seen or we normally see in the UK. It's very much a large area of low pressure with lots of occluded fronts and troughs and disturbances within it, giving the areas of extremely heavy rainfall. Now, if you look at the live radar, we've got two areas of interest for heavy rain. Now, the main one is across Scotland. Now, you may look at this and not think this is not particularly extreme rainfall rates. Yes, we're seeing some yellow and oranges where we have got the red warning, which are rainfall rates of around 10 millimetres per hour, perhaps. And again, that doesn't sound ridiculous when you think of maybe a couple hours of rainfall, which is usual with these rainfall rates. But this sort of rainfall rate has been going for a good few hours now, and will be going for the next 12 to maybe as much as 24 hours. And you do the maths, you're looking at 100 to 200 millimetres widely, up to 300 millimetres of rainfall in places. That is 30 centimetres of rainfall. That is sort of knee height for many people. And of course, in valleys around rivers, it'll be even higher where those rivers do swell, and all the water collects in one area. And that is why the red warnings is in force for ridiculous amounts of rainfall falling in a day or two. Now, you can see here there are gaps in the rainfall just to the south towards Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's no rainfall at all. But the problem you've got is it's a flat easterly wind, and the radar does cut out in the North Sea. But we're basically seeing a conveyor belt of moisture coming in off the North Sea, hitting the hills and the coastal areas of eastern Scotland and central Scotland. And that's why we've seen these two areas of prolonged rainfall, both widespread amber warnings in these regions, and the red warning, of course, across eastern Scotland. That has been extended in size earlier today, and we'll look at that in a minute. The other area of interest is across much of England through tomorrow. Now, at the moment, you can see lots of heavy showers have broken out in the flow this afternoon and locally have given some very heavy rainfall, but move through relatively quickly. And the reason why they've formed is because we're seeing a southerly wind now, which has actually got quite a bit of moisture associated with it and a lot of actual upper air warmth, and that's allowed these heavy showers to break out. There's even the risk of a few thunderstorms. I don't think we actually saw those break out in the end, but we did see heavy showers. But the next area of extremely heavy rain is across northern France and the Channel, and this is going to become more organised into another centre of low with a bit of a spiral round it, and it's going to park up, having made its way through much of England and Wales. It's going to park up across northern England and East Anglia. We've now got widespread yellow warnings and an amber warning issued for the spine of northern England here, going all the way down through Yorkshire into parts of the Midlands here. And there, again, we're looking at tens of millimetres widely, up to 100 millimetres or more in places. Again, that's on top of seeing heavy rainfall last night and these heavy showers we've seen earlier today. So 2 big areas of interest, and we've got a lot of warnings to look at in a minute. But you can see the heavy rain that's ongoing and continue to dominate Scotland over the next 24 hours. And then you can see, as we head into tomorrow, all that heavy rain that extends all the way down to North Africa that is heading England's way over the course of this evening and the early hours of the morning. Now, do put on the temperatures, you can see lots of yellows around because it actually is pretty mild. We're in the warm sector associated with this low now, Storm Babet, but you can see lots of cold air to our northeast, and that can actually turn some of the rain through the weekend into snow across the Highlands of Scotland as that wraps in. But for most areas, that cold air looks likely to stay at bay, stay out in the North Sea or to the north of Scotland. But it's this temperature collision that's really fueling the weather fronts. Now, the last thing I want to have a look at is on the live radar is the past 24-hour precipitation. Now, we are just a couple of hours into the red warning, but you can see the past 24 hours already, we've seen 50, maybe 60, 70, 80 millimetres of rainfall in those red warnings. And Northern Ireland, where we've seen warnings, Republic of Ireland, we're seeing here again 50, 60 millimetres, and widely we've seen at least 10 to 20 millimetres in most areas. Again, you can see more regional and variable across England and Wales because lots of these areas have been increased by those heavier showers earlier today that are still ongoing. But we're likely to see this area of Scotland widely yellow, if not locally red in places, with lots of oranges within that, and the same across much of the higher ground of England and Wales. Widely yellows, locally oranges and reds. It'll be very interesting to see what this does show tomorrow. Now, if you do have a look at the weather warnings, there's a little bit of a headache looking at this, as we have got a lot of warnings, especially in eastern Scotland, all parked on top of each other. But we'll kind of go in their severity. So you start by having a look at the yellow rain warning that's issued for this strip across northern Scotland, pretty much all of eastern Scotland into southeast Scotland. Has been updated to remove southwest Scotland from this area, and you can see all the local counties and areas that are affected here. Again, we're looking at 50 to 100 millimetres of rainfall, which is a lot of rainfall, but compared to the amber warning in the red zones, probably isn't that much. Still could cause some severe issues, but we're not expecting it in these areas. It will be more local and regional impacts from this. So if you are on the yellow warnings, do make sure you do keep an eye on the live radar and the warnings, as this could be updated very quickly. But you can see here kind of the outline. Is difficult to see, but it's this yellow warning across eastern Scotland, and then in this yellow area for northern Scotland. The blanket yellow warning here is for winds, as we actually are going to see some very strong winds from this system. Again, nothing ridiculous, but we're looking at 55 to 65 miles per hour, maybe locally 70 or 80 miles per hour. We did see an amber warning for wind issued yesterday, which has now expired. And you can see there is the chance of 70 to 80, but it's not expected widely. And remember, this storm mainly is a rainfall event. Yes, very strong winds, and on these winds by themselves probably would warrant a yellow warning, probably not even a named storm. It's the rain on top of this which is giving these severe impacts. Now, if we do have a look at the first amber warning for rain, which is this slither across northern Scotland to the north of Inverness, again, it only came into force a couple of hours ago and lasts until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So most of this rainfall, heavy rainfall that is falling overnight. We're looking widely at 50 to 80 millimetres in 12 to 24 hours, with as much as 100 millimetres in upland areas. Now, that's the same amount as the yellow warning, but the yellow warning, that rainfall falls across 3 days, whereas this falls across one evening or up to 24 hours. So it's that timing as well, the time frame of the rainfall, which is also becoming a significant impact. Now, if we do have a look at the amber warning that's issued for eastern Scotland, we're looking at even higher, widely 70 to 100 millimetres, locally 150 to 200 millimetres. And again, very strong winds pushing into that. And you can see it's been extended westwards into more of Tayside here. And then finally, we have a look at the red warning, 100 to 150 millimetres widely in 24 hours, 200 to 250 millimetres locally. And again, that is just in this red warning period until 12 p.m. tomorrow. We could be seeing 300 to 400 millimetres over this sort of 3 or 4 day spell. So, yeah, severe impacts coming here. Danger to life warning, highest impact and highest likelihood. And it has been extended southwestwards into western parts of Tayside once again. So please do heed these necessary warnings, especially if you are in the red warning or even just outside the red warning. Even areas not in the red warning could still see the same impact. So we have a look at that amber warning again. If you look at the impact matrix, it is the same level of impact. The likelihood is just lower. So the way that works, it technically means anywhere in the amber warning could see the same effect somewhere in the red warning could see. It's just not quite as likely. So even if you are 50, 100 miles away from that red warning, out further westwards or northwards, you could still see quite severe impact. So please do take the necessary precautions and do stay safe out there over the course of this evening and through tomorrow. Now, if we do have a look at tomorrow's warnings, we do start in Scotland. We'll just be able to see that it's all the same warnings here, just extended into Saturday. But we've now got warnings issued elsewhere in Scotland. We've got this yellow wind warning that's kind of comes down the whole of the east coast of Scotland, down through northern England, all the way down towards sort of East London from midday tomorrow until midday and on Saturday. And that is for very strong easterly winds pushing in. Again, we're looking at 40 to 60 miles per hour, high likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. So nothing too severe, but again, could cause issues combining with that rainfall. And then within that, a larger yellow warning across Scotland, we now have an amber warning issued that starts at 12 p.m. tomorrow until 6 a.m. on Saturday. And again, we're looking at 40 to 60 millimetres widely, maybe as much as 80 to 120 millimetres. Again, basically crosses the Scotland-England border here. Again, high impact and high likelihood. We're unlikely to see this upgrade to a red warning, most likely going to remain an amber. Again, interesting seeing this amber warning across eastern Scotland does expire at 6 p.m. So the impacts shift from the north until from Scotland really towards northern England come tomorrow afternoon into the evening. And then we've got these other rain warnings issued further southwards. We've got this Northern Ireland warning from 3 a.m. tomorrow until 9 a.m. on Saturday. Again, a blanket rain warning, again, for large bouts of rainfall, 10 to 30 millimetres, maybe 40 to 50, as much as 60 to 80. Again, lots of rain, but compared to the amber warnings in other regions, not that much really. And then we've got this widespread yellow warning that's from midnight tonight until 6 a.m. on Saturday. And again, more heavy rain here. And again, 25 to 50 millimetres widely, 50 to 80 millimetres in a few spots, and maybe as much as 100 millimetres. And then we've got this slither of an amber warning covering all the higher ground through northern England here, all the way down into the Midlands. We could see widely 40 to 60 millimetres and 80 to 100 millimetres. Again, unlike to see any red warning or any increase in the actual warning here, but we could see it expanded in the update tomorrow. Again, last until 6 a.m. on Saturday. So the main impacts coming from this are coming tomorrow afternoon. So you can see there's kind of two main things coming from Storm Babet now. We've got the main impacts with this red warning through tonight, and then we've got another spell of extremely heavy rain through tomorrow afternoon for these northern areas. That rainfall is going to move in from the south overnight tonight, but its main severe impacts are arriving widely through tomorrow afternoon. And then you can see as we head into Saturday, we've still got these blanket warnings, but we had a look at all these warnings in detail already. So do now have a look at the latest UKV. You can see the heavy rain across Scotland through this evening continuing. And if we just focus on Scotland, you can see it lasts all night, no respite. It's keeping those yellows going, which is rainfall around that 6 to 10 millimetres per hour. Again, that's why we've got the red warning issue, because of reasonably high rainfall rates for a prolonged period of time. Further southwards, you can see the spiral of that system moving in some very high rainfall rates, and you can see it moves in and does give very heavy rainfall through tomorrow morning, but no warnings issued by this stage. It's when the rainfall stalls through tomorrow lunchtime into the afternoon through northern areas is where we see the warnings really come into effect. So very high rainfall rates tomorrow morning, but it does move through quite quickly. It's the prolonged, persistent heavy rain through the afternoon into early hours of Saturday, where we've got the rest of the warnings issued. And then it's early hours of Saturday, snowfall for some areas of Scotland, and heavy showers pushing in from the east. And you can see just continuing to be very unsettled through Saturday, but nowhere near as much rainfall and as widespread before eventually starts to clear. As we head into Sunday, But look at that, into Monday, we start seeing more heavy rain arrive. And as I said, the longer term outlook is not looking good. More heavy rain to come. Again, if you have a look at the wind gusts, you can see the very strong winds earlier today, and that's why we saw an amber warning issued for that. But now it expired, and we've got widespread yellow warnings issued, and you're going to see continuous stronger winds around, but really 50 to 60 miles per hour, locally 70. So nothing ridiculous, but still very strong. But those winds should start to die down as we head into Saturday, as the easterly winds do fade, and things should look a little bit brighter into next week. Still gusty winds around, but nothing too severe. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see through tomorrow afternoon, going to be actually quite cold across Scotland, as we used to see that colder easterly wind start to come in. Further southward, 16, 17 degrees in the milder sector. Into Saturday, northern areas in the cold air, mid to low single digits. Further southward, still 16, 17 degrees. And then to Sunday, again, could see those temperatures lower a little bit into some fresher air. Widely low teens there. And then finally into Monday here, once again, we're looking at 12 to 14 degrees, and Tuesday is looking again 12 to 14 degrees, so generally around average for the time of year. Now we have looked at Storm Babet, of course, in a lot of detail in this video, so we'll skim through the longer range forecasts now, but we'll have a look at it in a lot more detail in the next couple of days as Storm Babet does clear, and we can focus on longer range stuff a little bit more. Now you can see the Scandinavian high to our northeast, which really is causing Storm Babet to stall and give us all this heavy rain. Eventually those very strong easterly winds come in, and again in winter time we'd probably be talking about blizzards for Scotland for this, and red warnings for snow, but no rain as we are in October still. As we head into next week though, look at that, more low pressure coming off the Atlantic, nowhere near as severe, but regardless still giving lots of heavy rain, and even here some very strong winds all the way to the end of this run, with a very strong jet stream coming in off the Atlantic. Not looking great if you want any respite from the rainfall. And if we look at the accumulated precipitation, we are completely covered in pinks and purples. Again, that's looking well in excess of 100 millimetres widely, and then locally, of course, we're looking at hundreds of millimetres, and some of those hundreds of millimetres falling in the next couple of days. If you do go to the GM, see how that does compare over the next few days and next couple of weeks. Again, easterly winds arrive this weekend, and then eventually low pressure comes in off the Atlantic, keeping us very unsettled all the way to day 10. Fortunately here, a little bit of our ridge of high pressure building in, but I doubt it's going to last more than a day or two. Unfortunately, it's still looking very horrible in the longer term. If you do finish for the longer range by having a look at the ECMWF, again, low pressure dominating at the moment with Storm Babet. Easterly winds do come in briefly for the weekend, and eventually the westerly winds open up again, and look at this, more horrible low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, keeping us really unsettled and pretty grim indeed. Now, to finish by looking at the latest ensembles, the latest GFS, you can see lots of heavy rain tonight for London, even though London's not included in any of the warnings. Again, just showing you there is going to be heavy rain widely. The warnings are the areas where the most severe impacts will be. So if you're not in a warning, you're still likely to see tens of millimetres falling, or already have fallen, or falling in the next couple of days. You can see the temperatures do drop as we head into the weekend with that easterly wind coming in, but the coldest air is really only impacting the north. And then eventually into next week, look at that, temperatures around average or slightly below average into the longer term, into late October, early November, but lots of rainfall spikes keeping us really horrible and unsettled. 2 meter temperatures not looking great either, widely sort of 13, 14, pretty consistent really, but with all the cloud and rain, again, really quite horrible. And if we finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, again, generally around average in the longer term, really quite close to average, in fact. It's pretty close to average in the longer term than I've seen in a while. Very little deviation from the 1991-2020 mean, but you can see lots of rainfall. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more yellow and amber warnings issued in the next couple of weeks, simply because of the amount of rainfall that has fallen in the past couple of weeks, and from this event, from Storm Babet. It just means the ground is going to be absolutely saturated. River levels are going to be high. An event in a couple of weeks' time that would warrant no warning, or maybe just a yellow warning, may even warrant an amber warning, and maybe an amber warning a few weeks ago may even warrant a red warning in a couple of weeks, just because of the amount of rainfall that has fallen. Remember, the Met Office warnings are all based off impacts. It could be a really quite a wild next couple of weeks unless we see some drier weather coming. It is looking likely to remain horrible. Lots of heavy rainfall around and probably a lot more rain warnings to come. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you stay safe out there, especially if you're in those warning zones. But even if you are not, do stay safe. We're going to see widely heavy rain and gusty winds. And I'll see you again for another video soon.